Look, y'all read the title. It's no intro. Let's get straight into it.
Bro, what are you watching? Oh, dude, I'm just watching the show about people that got killed, tortured, murdered, abused, beaten, mutilated.
Oh, they watching the Jeffrey Dahmer show.
Why?
They watching Dahmer for show.
It's so calming and peaceful, honestly. That's concerning. Whether you
Fucking
belong
peaceful.
on a list or just have a morbid curiosity in how these twisted people's minds work, this video is for you. One thing to
Okay, that's not why I'm watching it. I'm watching it because I want content.
quickly note is that this list is not based off kill count alone, based off of their general vibe, their story, and also their methods. Let's begin.
Methods?
Starting off strong, we have Ted Bundy. This man is literally nightmare fuel. Why was Ted so scary? For me personally, it comes down to a few reasons. Primarily being how unassuming he came off.
Wait, Ted, was this the one that had all the girls? The girls started liking him and writing him like fan fictions in jail? Is that Ted Bundy?
He was literally a wolf in sheep's clothing. He was well educated, charismatic, charming, although he had a truly twisted
Okay, it's gotta be that.
Once you were alone with him. Besides him being almost completely hidden in plain sight, he was also a master of escape and literally escaped police twice.
What?
And after the second time he escaped, he committed 6 more murders, which is literally insane. Something that I find completely ironic is that Ted actually attended law school for a year, which is super random, but I mean, it's not the first time something like that's happened. Once he was finally caught, he eventually admitted to over 30 murders, abducting, assaulting, and murdering young women.
30?
And during his trial, he even partially represented himself. And during his sentencing, he literally proposed to his girlfriend. This dude was loving.
Wait, his girlfriend knew about it? His girlfriend knew about this? Lock her up too. Isn't that literally illegal?
And is a complete lunatic.
Isn't that literally illegal?
Harold Shipman, aka Dr. Death. If you thought that name was bad, trust me,
Dr. Death.
It gets worse. Harold was a family doctor in the small town of Hyde in the United Kingdom. Harold was well known and well respected in his community, and a majority of his clients were the elderly. This might seem a little bit random, but this fact is very important.
Wait.
Now let's kind of step back and look at
he was just poisoning them,
In his
huh?
early years, he was the primary caretaker for his mother with cancer, and that led him to seeking out medical practice. He became a doctor, had a family, and had a successful practice, although he did end up developing a drug habit that almost cost him his practice. He was fined on multiple drug charges and even went to rehab, but was considered cured by the end of his treatment and was free to practice once again. Once he continued his practice is when things really...
What type of drug was this nigga on? Heroin or some shit?
began to take a turn. Specifically, elderly women began to die under his care. Shipman would use any reason possible to use a hypodermic needle on his patients, which he would use to deliver them a deadly dose of morphine, causing them to overdose. The interesting thing is this was the same medicine he gave his mother when he was younger. Like Ted Bundy, Shipman is terrifying because of how unassuming he was.
Wait.
Not only was he respected in the community and well known and a family man, but he was also a family doctor.
Wait, okay, hold up. So he's stabbing all these people and giving them morphine when they don't need it and killing them with morphine, and he's able to do it multiple times? How? Where are the other people that examine the bodies and say, yeah, she died of morphine over and over and over in the same hotel? The fuck?
Only one of the last people that you would assume to be ending people's lives intentionally. Another really scary factor was that his patient base was so vulnerable. And unfortunately,
that is scary,
early on,
bro.
a lot of his victims were just written off because of old age. Shipman...
Okay. Yeah, okay. We got 18 patients died in the last week. Shit, that old age is really going around, isn't it? Let's be fucking real.
Was found out because before he killed his last victim, he modified her will to have her leave everything to her family doctor, aka Shipman.
That's gotta be the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard in my life. Nigga just wanted to get like, he really thought I was just gonna fly? Yeah, fuck the family, I'm gonna give it all to my doctor. You a dumbass nigga, bro.
Her family was suspicious
Fucking
and they
stupid.
investigated. After a thorough police investigation, it was discovered that Dr. Death was responsible for over 215 deaths. Absolutely terrifying. Third up, we have Andre.
How the hell did he kill 213 niggas and they never found out? How? That made no sense.
Andrei Chikatilo, aka the Rostov Ripper or the Butcher of Rostov. He was a serial killer in Soviet Russia. The fact that he was in Soviet Russia actually played a big part in the reason why he was able to go on for so long. The state-controlled media was not allowed to talk about serial killings or anything of the sort, specifically because they believed that they did not have that issue. They didn't have serial killers, they thought. They believed that to only be a Western phenomenon. Following the trend,
so they're fucking, they just turned their back to that and thought it would get rid of their problem. Fucking brain dead.
Chikatilo
That's
was
kind of
just
scary.
an unassuming traveling businessman, although his urges were much deeper and much darker. And unfortunately, Chikatilo was the type of person known as a necrosadist, someone who gained arousal from pain and violence and murder.
Oh, I thought oh, it's a necrophiliac that be when they die.
Chikatilo targeted runaways, prostitutes, and homeless people as they were considered undesirables or less dead. Over time, the evidence was undeniable, and the police were starting to suspect a group was at the loose, and even the general public was starting to believe that there was a werewolf just because of how gruesome the bodies were left. Unfortunately,
damn, that nigga be fucking him up like that? No, that's crazy. In court, he pulled his piece out and yelled, "What can I do with this thing? It's useless." You talking about his dick? That nigga pulled his dick out and said, "What can I do with this?" This nigga's fucking. Yo, how do you get to a place that you pulling your dick out in court? I won't lie, I've definitely thought in class, like I've had like a thought, like, what if I just pull my dick out and like, okay, I'm not gonna go there. That's like an intrusive thought, right? Like I'm on the bus, I'm like, what if I just get naked and start doing jumping jacks?
Investigations were not fruitful simply because they were not looking in the right places.
What the hell, Stizzy? You telling me you've never been somewhere and been like, what if I just like pull down my pants and start doing jumping jacks or something stupid like that? Is that not a normal thing to think? Hold up, I'm looking this up, bro. The naked man was found doing jumping jacks in the women's restroom at a McDonald's. What the hell?
Literally investigating satanic cults and recent psychiatric ward alumni. It wasn't until they brought in a psychiatrist that they were able to begin making progress and realize that maybe the killer was a normal seeming businessman who could be among us. In an interesting turn of events, Chikatilo was literally caught at a bus stop talking to a potential victim and was found with Vaseline, rope, and a knife in his briefcase.
What this nigga need Vaseline for? Yo, what does he need Vaseline for?
Although once he was brought in, his blood did not match the DNA on the killings, and he was only held for a theft he committed. It wasn't until a few years later he was once again brought
We're not making this some inside thing
to the police station, and at this point they knew they had to get him. Although they didn't have much evidence and time was ticking before they had to release him again, it only took a 2-hour conversation between Chikatilo and the psychiatrist to have Chikatilo crack and confess to everything. Chikatilo was responsible.
Damn, that psychiatrist was moving.
56 young men and women and was sentenced to death by a bullet in the back of the head. All right, things have gotten pretty dark, but we're just getting started.
He needed for that meat. The fuck was he gonna do? Okay, you beating your shit with Vaseline is the most insane thing if that's what you're talking about. If that's what you're talking about, I don't even want to have that. Oh my.
Let's just take a...
You know, bro, Vaseline is crazy.
Quick breather.
That shit's gonna be there forever. You can't get that shit off.
It's so crazy to think about how twisted these individuals are. Something I wanted to quickly mention is that this video is in no particular order.
Okay.
These individuals do not deserve a ranking, and I will not be giving them one. All right, buckle up.
That's actually smart because I think serial killers like when they get ranked high, and that makes more serial killers. So good job, bro.
To the U.S., we have Jeffrey Dahmer. Dahmer is probably one of the most infamous and well-documented serial killers of all time. If you know anything about Jeffrey Dahmer's story, it's not hard to believe why he's on this list. He is one of the most depraved individuals likely to ever exist. From a very young age, he was experiencing intense violent thoughts, and it didn't take long for him to begin acting on them. From the years of 1978 until his arrest in 1991, Jeff had killed 17 people in uniquely horrific and gruesome ways.
The crazy thing is, like, now 17 people is crazy, but that don't even sound that much compared to 218. 17 sounds like rookie numbers, like that nigga wasn't really shooting like that. Like, come on.
Murder, assault again, chop up, eat, and
But no,
more
it was
to
actually
his
so fucking
victims and
disgusting.
the bodies of his victims.
It was so
Not only
disgusting.
would
I
he
couldn't watch that Dahmer shit. My girl wanted to watch it. We got like half the episode in. That shit was disgusting. Couldn't do that.
Assault,
Couldn't do that, bro.
murder, and eat his victims, but he would also mutilate their bodies and keep parts of their body as souvenirs. He even said himself that this made him
it was
feel
weird as fuck.
closer to his victims.
No, it was disgusting.
He says that he didn't want to kill anybody. It was just his only option, as he wanted companionship. According to
you that unliked nigga, you that unlikable that you gotta kill niggas to keep them with you. Yeah.
him, his ultimate goal wasn't to murder. He simply wanted a slave who he could control completely and not have to worry about any of their wants or desires.
Oh wait, so this nigga really just grew up in the wrong time frame. Yo, I think Jeffrey just misunderstood. He just misunderstood. He grew up in the wrong time frame. I get it, bro. Dog, 200 years later, and that shit like 200 years earlier, 150 years earlier, that nigga would have been fine. That's crazy.
This man was truly, truly twisted. And
that's disgusting,
because there was no death penalty in Wisconsin, he was actually sentenced to 973 years in jail. Although he was murdered in jail by a cellmate, thankfully. Following the trend of disgusting, disturbing cannibals, we have Joachim Kroll, a disturbing serial killer from Germany. Joachim had an IQ of 76, which is just above the line of being considered mentally challenged. Kroll would
nigga was damn near mentally fucking stupid.
primarily find his victims by either going to smaller towns outside of where he lived, or simply strolling through and hiding in the forest waiting for victims to pass by. Kroll targeted women and young girls specifically, with his youngest victim being 5 years old. He would typically start a conversation with a victim and then shortly after strangle them to death and then assault their corpse. He shortly after began cutting.
That is so fucking sick, bro. That is so sickening, my nigga. My nigga was bush camping IRL.
Chunks of his victim's body off and taking them home to eat. The bodies of his victims were typically found a few days after the incident,
get there, bro?
They were never linked to him. And one of the most unfortunate parts of his story is that typically people close to the victim would be considered primary suspects, and there was multiple completely innocent suspects who ended their own lives out of sheer frustration and embarrassment of being considered a suspect. As a
dog, that is insane.
I'm sure you've realized at this point, it's very common that a lot of these people were not necessarily deemed to be serial killers just at a first glance. Even in his own apartment building, Kroll was known as Uncle Kroll to the local children, as he would give them treats and allow them to play with dolls in his apartment, which he kept to lure the children.
Holy shit, bro. Imagine being a parent and you find out the nigga that you let your kids go with was the same nigga that killed all these people. Could you imagine that shit?
Was eventually caught after he killed a neighborhood child.
So fucking disgusting,
bro. He tried to dispose of the remains of this child he didn't want in the toilet in the shared bathroom. And as he left the bathroom with the toilet clogged, he told one of his neighbors not to go in there. The toilet was clogged. His neighbor still went to use the bathroom and saw the horrible mess that was in the toilet. He contacted the police, and the police quickly investigated.
The IQ of 76 is really fucking showing up. The IQ of 76 is showing up. You trying to flush a whole entire human down a toilet. The fuck are you doing? And then you leave that room and say don't go in there, the toilet's flushed. Like if a nigga don't gotta go to the bathroom, they're not gonna piss or shit on a pile of shit in the toilet.
And questioned Kroll directly. They forced their way into
his apartment. Thank God this nigga wasn't
smart. He was cooking a stew. Kroll quickly admitted to everything, and they noticed that the stew literally contained human remains from the victim they were searching for. This man...
How am I the same species as this nigga, bro?
Seriously a monster. Moving over to South America, from Colombia specifically, we have Pedro.
Nigga thought the toilet was a human vacuum? I mean, shit, I guess.
You thought it was frustrating and just nonsensical how the police didn't catch any of these people earlier? You're gonna absolutely hate how this story goes. Lopez was literally found guilty of murdering 110 girls in Ecuador alone, but he also confessed to killing an additional 240 women across Peru.
That can't be real. That number can't be real, bro.
And Colombia. Now, obviously for...
How did he think... Wait, that's facts. He said don't go in there, the toilet's clogged, and then went and cooked the stew. I thought, yo, when I heard that, I thought he was gonna be going like getting bags like gloves so he can pull it out of the toilet. That nigga just went about his day. God damn, that nigga was fucking stupid. That nigga was like actually sped.
Having over 300 alleged murders.
Short
He is
bus ass
obviously
nigga.
sentenced to death.
350 is
right?
crazy.
No?
One a
Well,
day
he's
in a year.
at least sentenced to life in prison, right? What if I told you that he was literally released on good behavior and now his whereabouts are completely unknown? I'm not.
We gotta hear it out, right? It's gotta be a good reason.
Making this up, by the way.
I like what? That nigga was being a good boy? He was being a good boy, putting his dishes away, cleaning shit. He killed 350 people, but nah, he was folding his clothes. He was folding his clothes, cleaning the toilet, brushing his teeth and shit. Yeah, okay.
Pedro Lopez was literally released in 1998 on good behavior, and now his whereabouts are not known. I seriously cannot fathom whose idea this was and how they could justify this at all. On top of being somebody who murdered hundreds of people, something that is extremely scary about this person right now is the fact that they were born in 1948, meaning that right now in 2023, if they're still alive, they're only 75 years old.
I'm not gonna lie, this nigga probably killed more people too. That nigga probably killed more people too.
Meaning that if you just see an old person walking down the side of the road, they might be the monster of the...
Yeah, I'm a beep, fight back.
And
just to figure out it's some old white grandma.
Insane. This next entry on our very disturbing list brings us back to where we started in the USA. This entry is our third American and final entry. His name is John Wayne Gacy. John Wayne Gacy is probably one of the most deranged individuals on this list, and
he was a clown.
If you've heard of Jeffrey Dahmer, you've probably heard
he was a clown.
John Wayne Gacy. Gacy was a businessman and politician and was a liked and respected community figure. Like most people on this list, he was rather unassuming and, unfortunately, living a double life. Gacy had a family, a wife,
the Chicago
child,
clown
but that didn't
killer
stop him from assaulting young men. And although they were silent for some time out of fear for their lives, eventually they came out with their story, and Gacy was charged and imprisoned. Like the previous entry on this list, he was released on good behavior.
In America, they released him on good behavior.
Absolutely wild. After he was released from prison, he was essentially able to get a fresh start in life and was able to get a job, find a new wife, and start a construction company that was able to be quite lucrative, although it wasn't long until he was at his antics once again. Gacy developed an alter ego named...
Wait, so he was a politician. Did he kill niggas? Is that what they said? That he killed niggas first? And then they got released, and then he's doing it again.
Clown, which allowed him to express parts of himself he felt that he had to repress. He appeared at birthday parties, community events, and did magic for children in the hospital. Unfortunately, these displays only brought him closer to his darker self. Gacy began cruising around at night in his full clown getup and would force young boys to get in his vehicle at gunpoint and then assault them and murder them and bury them in his basement. Gacy was eventually caught because his basement was so full of bodies. His last victim he actually had to ditch in a local river.
But he got a whole entire family in that house, and they just can't go in the basement or some shit. How is your basement full of bodies? How is your basement full of bodies? You got a whole entire family and they don't know about it. How? Like literally how? It literally just doesn't make sense, bro. Nah, these niggas are fucking crazy.
This body was shortly after found, and the police were able to connect the dots and immediately began investigating Gacy. It wasn't long before they got a warrant, searched the basement, and found the bodies. It's interesting because Gacy always denied the accusations and even claimed that the bodies in his basement was a setup to destroy his political career. This man was a complete lunatic.
Yeah, okay.
And with that, we conclude my list of the scariest serial killers from around the world.
Yo, that's something else, bro. How does your brain get to that point? How do you traverse the earth having two completely different sides of yourself? One that's killing niggas just for no reason, and the other side that has a whole family and a whole like other thing, bro. You got to choose one or the other. I'm tired of these niggas being good at two. Like a lot of niggas can't even be themselves. You got niggas being two different people. Skillish, you crazy. Love y'all this one. Deuces.